Started having problems when I was 49. I went to, it wasn't Dr. Katz, it was another doctor, and he suggested I definitely had a problem, but as long as I could live with it, to go ahead. And I was 56, I think, when I first went to Dr. Katz, and he basically told me the same thing. He says there's new technology, everything coming out, new ways of doing things, and it lasts longer. And well, at 62, 63, I went in and my left shoulder, I had the calcium deposit had broke loose. Looked like I got shot with buckshot when they took the x-rays.
Wow.
So he says, we got to do something. So in April, I was 64, I believe. To April, he did the left shoulder and come out, had good luck with it. And in September, they did the right shoulder. But at that point, my hands above my shoulders, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't hardly get them up there, let alone do anything with it. And when I went and see Dr. Katz, he said, yeah, we've got to do something. And he told me, he said, you're in your 60s. He says, I ain't going to restore you to 20 years old again. He says, but I'll be pain-free. He said, but you won't never probably gain your full strength and stuff back, which I haven't, but I can reach above my head. I'm out cutting wood and splitting wood and cutting trees, hauling them out of the woods, and I mean, I got my life back again. And this summer, my grandson's in Scouts, and my son-in-law is one of the Scout leaders, and they invited me to go on a trip up the Allagash, canoe trip, 10 days. And we canoed 87 miles, and I really had questions whether it was going to happen. But I got up there, and I did have trouble, but for the second day, I guess it was, we got stuck in a couple of thunderstorms and got delayed, and the third day we had to make 22 miles. And at the end of the day, I knew there was a ranger station coming up. I said, maybe this is the time to quit. But when we got into camp that night, I was talking to my son-in-law, then my grandson, and a couple others in there. They were having the same identical problems I was having. It was, you'd used flat lake going for 22 miles. You used up all your muscles. But they were having the same symptoms I was, so I stayed with it. And as far as my shoulders went, I had a great time. It was an experience of a lifetime, and I could have never done it without, before he did my shoulders. Well, I had been to another doctor, and of course that was when I was 49. 5, 6, 7 years later, I looked around, and I forget who it was now, had mentioned Dr. Katz down there, so when I went to my own physician, I said, I'd like to, I've heard about him. And he says, yeah, he says he's very good at what he does. So he made me an appointment, and I went down and see him. And like I said, we played back and forth for 6 or 7 years before he did it. But I think he used me good. And the operation, I mean, yeah, you're sore afterward. It's not a pleasant thing to go through. But people told me, I have a daughter, and she told me, she says, if you're going to do this, do the therapy. Do what they tell you to do, and it will come out. If you're not going to do the therapy, don't bother. And I think she's 100% right. They are the best. I can't say enough about them. The whole procedure was, it wasn't a pleasant experience, but they work with you. They specialize in shoulders, and the therapists I had, that's what they did. The guy next to me was doing knees, but the who I had was doing shoulders, and they did a great job. I went in, and when I first got there, I did the exercise bicycle, hand bicycle, and that was, 3 to 5 minutes. And they might be over just finishing up with their other patient, or doing some paperwork. And the minute I get off the bike, they'd come over and we'd go through a therapy, and they was with you all the time until you went and got your ice pack and stuff on, and you was doing nothing but sitting and getting cooled down. So then they would go meet the next patient. But no, when it was my slot, they didn't go anywhere else. They might go to the desk and get a chat or something, but they wasn't with anybody else. They were with you. When I had the first one done, the nurse in the hospital, in recovery, she said she'd had hers done. And she said, you'll probably be sleeping in a recliner. And I did. I spent 5 weeks in a recliner because I found a week or so into it after the operation, I was feeling good. And I went and tried to lay down in the bed, which I could have done, and I could have slept. But what I found out is I couldn't get up. I mean, even with my wife helping me get off the bed, put the muscles, because when you flexing every muscle, and it just, I said no. I went back sleeping in the chair again. But that was, and the therapy they give you at home, you go down there and get therapy, then they give you exercises to do, and I did them 3 times a day, the repetitions they told me, and that was not fun. But I was actually back to work in 2 weeks after the operation. But I had an office job. I didn't have to do anything. I was, I could, with the other hand, I could operate the computer, and I was there. I went in 4 hours for the first few days, and I made out all right, so I went back, and with me, it was great because I can't sit and do anything, nothing. I just, that killed me. Like I said earlier, my daughter told me and stuff, if you're gonna do it, the therapy is, the doctor that operates does his job right. Your job is with the therapy and the therapist. And if you're not gonna do the therapy, don't do it. If you wanna get well and back to being normal again, it may hurt, it may be discouraging, but do the therapy. That's the only way you're gonna come back. And I really believe that.